it turns out that children are actually amazing at learning language. Really, truly phenomenal, right? And in fact, much of the linguistic system is already known by age 4. A lot of those different things we were mentioning: speech segmentation, syntactic categorization, phonology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics. A lot of that is in place by age 4, which is really young when you think about sort of in general what the average 4-year-old is capable of in life. It's maybe not as much as your average adult, but in terms of reaching native level proficiency, they are usually head and shoulders above most of the adults you will ever encounter who are trying to pick up another language. So kids are really, really amazing, and they seem to develop language knowledge fairly young, right, in life. Also, here's the fun thing. Children seem to figure a lot of different parts of language out, mostly without explicit instruction, the way that you would sit down in a classroom and sort of be told maybe the rules and the forms of language. That's not how kids learn their native language or native languages. If they learn more than one, they learn without that kind of explicit instruction for most of it. So what they seem to be doing is extracting patterns and making generalizations that are appropriate for their language from the surrounding data, mostly just by hearing examples of what's allowed in the language and figuring it out on their own. So, okay, what's so hard about that? Let me show you. So there are often many ways to generalize beyond the input. And the problem is that most of them aren't right. And I just want to show you a quick example when trying to, for example, learn what the child register word birdie means, or bird for the adult register version of it, but birdie. Okay, what does birdie mean? Okay, well, here's some examples, right, that you might encounter. What a pretty birdie! Looking at this lovely blue birdie right here. Look, a birdie! So it's another birdie with a sort of a turquoisey hue, perhaps, sitting on a branch. Look at that birdie! Another bright blue birdie, right, sitting on sort of a tree, branchy type thing. So let's say that these are your examples of birdie. How would you generalize to say, what does birdie mean? And so what generalization should you actually make? And one very sensible thing you might do is say, oh, well, blue is the salient property, but blue creature, that's what a birdie is. So guess what? This should be a birdie, and that should be a birdie too. These are blue creatures. Well, that's not right. Okay, well, here's another way you might generalize. A birdie is a creature on a branch, right? Because in fact, all of your birdies in your examples happen to be sitting on branches or trees. And so that would lead you to believe that this is a birdie and that this is a birdie too, which is also not right, right? And so a birdie is, whatever makes something a bird, whatever sort of cluster of features, like a beak or something about feathers or feathery type things, right? Not really wings necessarily, right? But whatever makes something a bird, that's how you have to figure it out, given the sort of the canonical examples that you encounter in your input. And that's hard, right? That's the problem. The ways that you might naturally generalize aren't necessarily the right ones from the data you're given. So kids figure it out nonetheless. They figure it out right time after time after time again for all of these different areas of linguistic knowledge. And so this is an induction problem where the data are compatible with lots of different generalizations, only one of which is actually right, and you have to somehow figure out the right one, right? So this kind of induction problem is a thing that happens all the time, actually in cognitive development, broadly speaking, but especially in language development. So it's sort of extra surprising that kids are able to solve it, because it's a really hard problem. And so basically language development is solving a lot of induction problems time and time and time again for years on end. And really our takeaway is, again, it's amazing how good kids are at this, and so we want to understand how they do it.